What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and this is another kind of a pretty important tale. Yesterday's video had good reach, but of course YouTube dinged it. But I think it's so important to cover that you just don't really want to lose your gusto here, because quite frankly, the idea of big pharma creating problems so that they could create the solution. For my viewers, you're probably like, well, duh, no kidding. But for me, I still live in La La Land, where I'm just like, oh, they're just good people. Yeah, maybe they want to make too much money and they charge too much for insulin, but they're just a company trying to do. No, these people are actually super evil monsters. And so I'm gonna double dip on this, because the freak out that happened afterwards, absolutely insane. The censorship has been absolutely insane. There are a lot of ways that YouTube can discourage covering these things. So I hope that you'll share this video, because one way is suppressing it, shadow banning it. Another is demonetizing it. And of course they did to my first video for no real reason, because I danced around every possible conceivable word. But I'm glad I have sponsors like Meta PCs, by the way. They've been a long-time channel sponsor. So when you're ready for a new computer, I worked with them to create this page. Obviously, they still do completely custom builds if you want. They still do laptops. They do financing. They're veteran-owned. It's the computer I use. It's the computers my family uses. In fact, the exact computer I use is right here. Jeremy's Ultimate build. One of my viewers told me they bought one yesterday, so that's awesome. You're going to love it. It's blazing fast. Yeah, I'll leave a link in the description. Promo code The Quartering, and you'll save extra on it too. Tucker Carlson covered this last night. It's just about the only mainstream media that did cover this. If you really want to understand how powerful big pharma is, consider this. How powerful exactly are the big pharma companies in this country? Well, that's a big question. There's a lot of ways to measure it, but there are a few ways you can measure it. But here are a few. Big pharma can advertise its product directly to consumers, and that's a little strange if you think about it, since consumers don't actually prescribe them. Doctors do. So why are they being advertised directly to consumers? In fact, I didn't even know this until recently, but most other countries, this isn't allowed. This says that's allowed in, oh yeah, there you go. That's allowed in only one other country on the planet, but it's allowed here. So it may not surprise you that in this country, these companies spend more on lobbying the Congress than any other industry. A lot more than any other industry, and they don't do it by accident. They do it because it pays off. In a deal like this, a pretty remarkable deal, the companies have worked out with politicians, so the government uses your tax dollars to buy billions of dollars worth of their products, and then, in some cases, force you to use those products. True. Now, this go into 24 hours since the big reveal, which has been viewed more than 12 million times on Twitter. The public is very interested. Why wouldn't they be? But the media are not. The other media outlets, no other media outlets have covered it all. We checked. MSNBC, CNN, which perhaps not coincidentally takes huge amounts of advertising dollars from Pfizer. These two channels have devoted a total of 0 seconds to the story. 0. Well, just go online to find out about it. Well, Google, the biggest search engine in the world, which has a monopoly on search in this country, appears to have gone out of its way to make it much more difficult for users to learn anything about it, to learn about the executive pictured in the footage. So there is, in other words, on television and in most places online, a near total media blackout on the story. Not on YouTube. Now, YouTubers rely on our viewers to help share the message, especially when we're going up against big tech and YouTube, which we know is suppressing the story, and at worst, at best, suppressing it, at worst, banning people from the platform for covering it and maybe not being just, careful enough. But this, what's interesting to me is the call clearly got made. So the individual in the footage that just about everybody saw yesterday, Jordan Tristan Walker, is running out a new theory. In this 10-minute video by, of course, PV, which I will not play in its entirety because 8 million people have already seen it. What is some of most it's one of the most insane videos I've ever seen on the internet. This guy goes through like the 7 stages of grief in like one 10-minute clip. You can see the director actually put his hands on James O'Keefe and their staff, destroyed an iPad showing the actual undercover recordings. Quote, "I'm just someone who's working in a company that's trying to literally help the public," they said.
Pfizer, my question for you is, why does Pfizer want to hide from the public the fact that they're mutating?
Yeah, that's already interesting, right?
Is this real life? I'm literally a liar. I was trying to impress a person on a date.
So now the big, this is what they expect us to believe, that he just said this to get laid. He said, "I'm literally a liar. I was just trying to impress somebody on a date." Who are you dating?
By lying. This is absurd.
Please don't touch me. Well, this is not. By the way, don't tell anybody.
This is someone who's just working in a company to literally help the public. You up. You really did. Please bring the cops as soon as possible. I'm feeling very unsafe.
Can you please?
I feel very unsafe. By the way, at one point in this video, he demands the restaurateur lock the doors, which you cannot do, which is against the law. He also breaks several other laws on camera. And you can see here, I can skip ahead here. Let's see. You know, the poor restaurateur. If we find out who this restaurant is, you know, like, I'll definitely, if it's local to you, I'll buy you a pizza or something. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them. You know, he must be feeling very nervous, very paranoid right now. I think the best thing he could do is become a whistleblower at this point, because I think he realizes in this kind of meltdown that he's got huge problems.
But he doesn't want me to leave. So I'm in a little bit of a predicament because she's asking me to leave, but he doesn't want me to leave. So what should we do?
So he ends up calling
in the future, then claim that there's an.
Can you please unlock your door?
No, don't let them leave.
Can you unlock?
You can see here, he says, "Don't let them leave." So he's holding them against their will. There are a variety of crimes that happen here. And later, like, oh yeah, here's the fray, which is great. He calls the PD, and they show up, and he's the one who's going to get charged. Here's the incident.
Please unlock the door.
What is going on here?
Please unlock the door.
He thinks that's the only copy of the footage.
Unlock the door. 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 This is remarkable.
It's like a cartoon. Look at him go.
We're trying to unlock the door. Unlock the door.
Go, get wrecked. Like, this guy thinks the only copy of footage exists on that iPad. I don't even, you know what? I don't feel bad for him. I almost do. But my little heart has been blackened over the years. And, you know, you almost feel bad for him. But then you remember the lockdowns. You remember how you had to stay and outside while your family members languished, maybe passed away. You had to sit outside funeral homes for service because they wouldn't let you in. Your businesses were destroyed. Family generations of business destroyed. Millions of lives disrupted. That's when you don't really feel bad for them.
It's not okay to record people like that. It is not. Stop. Let go of me. Now you're hurting me. What is going on here? You cannot just record people like that.
He's hyperventilating. He knows he's done a huge oopsie. And later when the PD arrive, they actually say, well, they could press charges against him, which I don't think they did. I think, like, this guy's got it. This guy's in trouble enough. Is that the actions of somebody who was just trying to lie and get laid? Or is this somebody who accidentally realized he let out one of the biggest stories of the century. One of the biggest stories of the century out there now. Because the dude, I mean, man, come on, fellas. All these people getting honeypotted, you know, it actually came up last night. I'm going to leave a link in the description to Sydney and I's podcast. We had been hosting it here on this channel, but now we've put it out on its own so we can take it a little more seriously. And on that show, we discussed kind of, she asked the question, a fair one, I think, about, you know, hey, what do you think about, she said, what do you think about, you know, the ethics of, you know, honeypotting? I think that it can be icky, but in this case, when you're talking about, you know, this super huge mega corporation, and, you know, all of the things that go with that and how they destroyed lives, I literally don't care. So I'm going to leave a link to our channel, which is Community Notes right here. We do a weekly podcast, soon to be more often, but so if you're interested in that, please do subscribe here. We're slowly uploading all our old episodes, and we'll be live there next week too. So we talked about this last night. So stay vigilant, keep sharing the news. I appreciate all of your support. Check out Meta PCs, Community Notes, and we'll talk to you again real soon.